So, saw some really bad news today. Val Kilmer, 65 years old, died of pneumonia. I think he has one daughter only, surviving member of his family. Just very sad news. Big fan of Val Kilmer. I think I think he's one of the greatest actors of our generation, my generation. I was first introduced to him as Iceman in the first Top Gun movie, and then saw him in, movies like Real Genius and Willow, and there's some other movie I can't think of. I didn't really do much research before this. I think he did some kind of movie where he was in Russia or something like that. I'd have to go back and look, but those were like the early ones. And then, he just went to a whole nother level. One of my favorite movies that he was in, probably my favorite Western. He was in Tombstone as Doc Holliday, and did such an amazing job. It was just a better movie, but Tombstone and Wyatt Earp both came out. I forget if it was the same year or 1 year apart, but they were very close, very similar stories. But when you look at Tombstone and what the actors and the directors did there, and specifically Val Kilmer's role as Doc Holliday, just amazing. And then, of course, he was Batman in Batman Forever. I think he was asked to do the next Batman, and he declined, if I remember the story correctly. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember it correctly, just because it didn't do so well, and maybe he just didn't want to be put in a box of having to, be a superhero, he didn't do the next movie. And I think many will agree, and I think I even read it somewhere, that if he had done the Batman and Robin movie, it would have been received much better, and would have done just a heck of a lot better. And the bar is low, so I guess it wouldn't have, you don't have to go too much farther, but he did that. And of course, one of my all-time favorite movies, and obviously one of my favorite movies that he's in, Heat. One of the best heist movies ever made. Probably, in my opinion, maybe the best. And countless other movies that he was in throughout his entire career. The man put himself into his roles. He was just an amazing actor. I know he got, I think about, was it maybe 10 years ago, I think he was diagnosed with cancer. So obviously, that was kind of the start of people not seeing him as much. I think it was throat cancer. But he just did so many great movies. And when you read about some of these things, he played Jim Morrison in The Doors, and the surviving members of the band, he did his own singing, and the surviving members of the band said, they were like, wow, we couldn't tell you if that was Val Kilmer or Jim Morrison. Like, that's how talented this guy was, and also how much he threw himself into his roles. Just a fantastic actor. I was briefly looking over some things this morning, and just to see some of the amazing collaborations that he had. Forget the entire cast, but he worked with Robert De Niro in Heat. He worked with Tom Cruise in Top Gun. He worked with Marlon Brando in The Island of Dr. Moreau. I forget the name of the movie now, but he worked with George C. Scott You know, you want to go really far back of, some of the greats. And then, although I don't remember if the movie was received well or not, but he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. So, I mean, the guy not only was an amazing actor himself, he worked with some of the great talents of his time, of our time. Some fantastic collaborations. He just, he was great. He was entertaining. He was great at his craft. He was a very entertaining person. Like I said, I remember so many of his movies, through my childhood, through my adolescence. Excuse me. I didn't know him, but he was a part of my life. He was a part of, certain aspects of my life as far as my entertainment and whatnot. And, he certainly had influences, can't tell you how many times, excuse me, I can't tell you how many times, I'm just messing around. I said, I'm your Huckleberry. I mean, he has some very memorable quotes and lines. He was a part of some, amazing things. And anyway, I don't want to run on too long of a tangent. Just really sad news to hear. 65 years old is very young. He did a lot of stuff in his life. So, that's something that anyone can always be proud of. But 65, that's young. Oh, that's young. So, and like I said, just someone who had some influence over me, and just overall, entertained me, with his craft. And I'm sure he entertained a lot of people who are watching this. Hopefully a lot of people are watching this. And so, let me know. Put in your comments what your favorite Val Kilmer movie was, or your favorite role that he was in. I know I left a lot out, so let me know. All right, have a good day, everybody.